of what healthy living and really what healthy eating, what it's all about. And I'm going to have a really quick conversation with you about the secret that I give to everybody before they go through an incredible transformation. And for those of you who've actually seen the show, you see the people that we work with. In 1 year, we see these ordinary people do extraordinary things, and you see them lose a couple 100 pounds, and everyone wants to know, how do we get them to do that? And yes, diet and exercise are important, but for this moment, I want you to scratch everything that you know about diet and exercise out of your mind, because believe it or not, transformation has nothing to do with diet and exercise. It doesn't. Weight loss has everything to do with diet and exercise. But transformation is very different. Transformation, it happens in the mind first. And you hear me talk about that, especially when it comes to interviews, when you hear me talking about that with the people on the show. But I'm going to tell you what transformation is really all about. And it's funny because this is something that I've learned over the past few years. And I've gone through, and actually I have to rewind really quick because this wasn't a concept that I actually came up with. This is something that my wife and I'm going to fill you in on a little secret behind the show as well. I don't do everything by myself. I actually do have a secret weapon in the process, and that's my wife. And she's actually been a coach with me from day one. In season 1, season 2, season 3, and she's actually here with us tonight. Heidi, raise your hand. And she is amazing. She is my secret weapon in this whole process, and she is a mommy blogger herself, and absolutely loves this kind of stuff. So she was thrilled to come here and to just be here with you guys. But when it comes to the secret of transformation, what we've learned through our experience of working with all these different people, that there's these common denominators that are present among everybody who truly transforms. And here we go. This is the punchline. Transformation is about integrity. So what does that mean? Integrity, what is that? It's the value that we have on our word. If you give your word to somebody else, gosh darn it, you're going to follow through with that, right? I mean, if you tell someone you're going to do something, you do it. And most of us are fantastic at fulfilling our commitments to other people. But I want to try something real quick. How many people here have said the diet starts Monday? All right. How about 2010? That's my year. Right? How about 2011? That's my year. Right? We're great at fulfilling our promises and our commitments to everybody else except him. Right? Except the most important person in the world. Because if you can't take care of yourself, you can't take care of anybody else. And here's the gist of the whole thing, is that your integrity, the value that you have when you keep your promises to yourself, and your dignity, that's the value that you have for yourself. That's your esteem. That's your confidence. That's your self-love. They are one and the same. And what happens when I meet these people who are beginning this journey, most of them, they have no self-esteem. They are crushed and they don't know how to get out of this place. And I don't see 200 pounds of extra body fat. What I see 200 pounds of broken promises. And after time, they don't even say their promises to themselves in front of other people, because, heaven forbid you said the diet starts Monday in front of other people, because come Wednesday, when you fall off the wagon, now you have to hide from them, right? You got to avoid them. Because you don't want to be vulnerable. You don't want to show them that you were weak. So what happens when you start making these silent promises, you think, I'll sweep them under the rug. No harm done, but a lot of harm was done, because your dignity takes a hit every single time that you make a promise and you break it. So transformation, it begins with a single promise that you make to yourself. Forget diet and exercise. It begins with the promise. And when you take the value off of diet and exercise and you put the value in the promise, that's when change starts to happen. I'm going to give you a really quick example. For my people, as soon as they change that lens through which they see transformation, at the very end of the year, they stand up out on stage and they can care less about the fact that they lost 200, 250 pounds. Their chin is high and their chest is out because they love themselves. That's what transformation is all about. It's about loving yourself. It's not about that diet and exercise. It's not about the number on the scale. And for a really quick example of how powerful this is, if I took any of my people at the end of the year, and if they committed to 30 minutes on a treadmill and I pulled them off at 29 minutes, they'd throw a punch at me. Because it's not about the treadmill. What's a minute on the treadmill? They'd still lose the same amount of weight, but it's not about the treadmill. It's about the promise that they made to themselves. And that's how transformation begins. The biggest mistake that we see everybody make, and I'm guilty of it, we're all guilty of it, is that we make these inflated promises. And we begin the process of transformation with a quantum leap. It's, I'm gonna do 45 minutes of cardio, I'm gonna do 5 small meals a day, I'm gonna do a gallon of water, I'm gonna do all this stuff, and you make all these promises to yourself that are so unattainable that you're bound to break them. And you don't realize that our dignity is on the line. And when we make those promises and then we break them, sure enough, what happens to our belief? That's the other magic ingredient, is that belief that we have in ourselves, it goes out. And once we believe in ourselves, that's when we have the strength to do what it takes to get us where we want to go. So it's all about those promises. So what do? Is that every transformation, I mean, people see our transformation peeps lose 250 pounds. How did it start? Day one, we say, I want you to make one promise to yourself, and do not make it so big that you can't attain it. We recommend to everybody, your promise should be 5 minutes. Just 5 minutes of moving. Whether that's walking in place while you're watching TV, or if you want to get outside and run, fine. But if you do 4:59, you lose. Because it's not about the movement, it's about yourself. Take the value out of diet and exercise and place it within yourself. And that's when you begin to change. That's the true magic of healthy living. Do you guys get it? I'm telling you, this is a conversation that we have with every single person when they begin this journey. And for those that get it, it is my job just to get out of their way. Because otherwise, I'm just holding them back. This is how we take the lid off of people. And even for those that don't believe in themselves yet, if you keep promise after promise after promise, you realize, what else can I do? And when that starts to happen, now we start to believe. And when you believe, there's nothing you can't do. And that is the magic of transformation. It's about taking those tiny little steps. That's what it's all about. So now you guys, you can do what I do now. You're all transformation specialists. So, yes, thank you.